Hey everyone, the mini set is coming out tomorrow, and this is my impression of the cards. We're going to going the very simple, fast, and efficient review where we go with garbage, decent, or broken. That's all there is. So there's not going to be as advanced and as precise. It's just going to be I'm giving my sort of impressions. I've looked at the cards a little bit before, whether it's going to be good, decent. Like decent is kind of like see some play, helps out, but not really. The deck doesn't really need it, but maybe a little bit better than marginal in some decks. Garbage just means it's just not going to see play. Maybe you have some garbage cards that because they get so much synergy for somewhere else see play, but and then broken is like nerfs are going to be called, decks are going to change, the world is going to change. So anyways, we're going to start off with Runes of Darkness here. We've got Runes of Darkness, and it is discover a weapon, spend 3 corpses to give it +1/+1. We're just going to go garbage. This is bad on 1, this is bad later. Corpses actually matter. You can't play a 1-drop, you're playing this on 1. Blood Death Knight's going to run this. Let's go next. Next, we got Sicky Grim Walker. After you summon undead, give it poisonous. These kind of cards you have to play, and then you have to play other cards. And you can do things where you summon with non-playing cards, but it's just going to be awkward. Like the unholy kind of style isn't looking to give things poisonous. Go away out of the way for single target removal. In theory, maybe with some rush cards, but I just would rather not run this card. We're going with the garbage. So we got give a friendly minion +2/+2. Spend 5 corpses to summon a copy of it. This is only undead minions. It costs +2/+2. It's 5 corpses. Compare this to something like Boon the Ascended, which did get nerfed to 5 mana, or for priest that was it has 2 years of power creep. In a holy deck. Am I really gonna have this sticky board that I can do this play very efficiently, and I have to have 5 corpses, so I can't do it on curve. I can't play like an egg, then like maybe get some buff on it and then go coin this. I have to have the 5 corpses. So awkward, utterly garbage. So sorry, Death Knight players, you're not gonna get to play because there are no good new cards. Nothing's gonna be relevant. So let's go to the next class. Let's go to Demon Hunter. This is Serenite. A lot of the cards have this text for this video set. If you cast 5 or more spells, this game will give your hero +4 attack. This kind of reminds me of the old Omega things where you've got the 10 mana or Mana Thirst, just a different variation. We'll see how difficult, and convenient. The hard part is if you have minions with spells, that's kind of a contradiction. So, Spell Demon Hunter is not going to run this card because they can't run this. So, but, something like Outcast, but that has mainly minions, so it's awkward of figuring out, how do you get a deck that naturally puts this in? Does Relic Demon Hunter? I like this card in theory, but it doesn't really fit in any current archetypes, in my opinion. I don't think Outcast Demon Hunter is really that excited to run this. But that being said, I think overall this card, could see play in a deck like if there was like a Soul DH, I could see it, running something like this. So I'm gonna go with decent, even though I don't think it's really good in the current metagame. Next, at the start of your turn, next turn, draw 3 additional cards. The Demon Hunter, this sounds good because it's, better, but Demon Hunter just has so many better card draw. It has got the weapon. This card could be good in something like Paladin or the class that struggles with card draw, but Demon Hunter card draw cards need to be OP. To be good, in my opinion, there are some synergies where you can play actually benefit from doing it the next turn and not this turn with some of the card effects like Crystalline Statue. But even then, I think these cards are also bad. I'm going to go with garbage here. And next we've got Mindbender. Deal 1 damage for each card you draw on this turn. I still just don't like this. Like, it's just clunky stats. You can do this with that 3 mana card and deal 4, but it's a lot of work to do something. Are you doing this every turn? Requires setup, makes you predictable. I'm going with garbage. So I'm not a believer in these draw archetypes, things like this, things like momentum. They're getting additional synergy, but I'm not a believer. Next we got Druid. We got Forbidden Fruit. We got spend all your mana, choose one. So you can get this. You can get an effect where you get this both. Gain that much attack or twice as much armor, so you can gain a ton of armor or health or attack to finish somebody off. So I think in practice this card's not very inefficient, you know. But in theory, so like in Druid, probably does get ramped, but often it needs, you know, to get a value out of the card like this, it has to. It has to have the right situations. But that being said, cards like this that are very flexible, I think can see play because, you know, if you have a meta where gaining 20 armor wins you the game against some deck, like, you know, they're about to kill you, you gain 20 life and spend your whole turn, you know, that can be a difference. Or a deck, you know, you're struggling to finish them off and you have a Pyroblast. These things can matter. I think it's not a good card to combine the effects because usually either you're in defensive or offensive. The both is less likely to be relevant. But that being said, also the choose effect kind of has anti-synergy where you might want to draw your other choose cards. This is kind of more of a late game value. So I think for a lot of reasons this card's probably bad, but in the right situation, it could be good. In the right meta, so I'm gonna go with decent. But that being said, I think this card's not actually that good right now. So it's not very. It has to be the right kind of meta, the right incentives. But that being said, like, you know, if you get to a point in the game where gaining, you know, you can take a whole turn to gain 20 life, which often you can't in Hearthstone. You know, this can be a nice sort of tech card against a certain meta. So. Next we got Contained Lasher. Battlecry, if you've cast 5 or more spells, refresh 4 your mana crystals. Druid plays a lot of spells, so it's easy to get the spell thing. The refreshing 4 mana crystals, so you gain 2 mana this turn, so it's like a, you know, a Lightning Bloom, but like you have to have ramped there, so because you can't go to new mana things, but you also get a 3/2. It's very efficient. I'm gonna go with Broken. This card's really good. I don't know what deck runs it. I don't know. Druid can still figure out a way. You know, I could see this going into Drum Druid just as kind of a flex card. You know, being able to you know, maybe go Solar Eclipse, and then you play this, and then you play the drum thing, and you get, you know, even more stats. There are cool things you can do. So I think overall, this card's very efficient. Finding the right place for it a little bit hard, but like I think it's a really good card overall. This next card is Battlecry and Death Rattle. Summon a 2/2 Trent. These kind of cards usually aren't good, but this card's so freaking efficient, so I'm gonna go with decent. You know, I think this probably deck goes in the sort of budget aggro druid that people were playing. If you're a budget aggro druid player, you're really happy. I think maybe at the top 100 legend, you know, we'll see if this card's strong enough to matter. But like, you know, for just the kind of tempo down style of Hearthstone, I think this card is really good. So I'm gonna go with decent. Yeah, I think that is all for Druid. Let's go to Hunter. Hunter, we have Beastly Madness. Give +1 attack to all minions in your hand. Deck and battlefield. Usually health is more relevant, but you know, like the problem is, you know, do I want to go always bigger Jorgrimer? No, sorry, Awaken. So do I want to go something like Awaken Tremors and then play this card and then have a whole nother turn? Spending 2 mana is a big deal. You know, it's not a Pyroblast, like it doesn't have the attack on board. You know, other cards that are stronger, in my opinion, and other classes don't see play. So I'm not a fan of this card. I don't think the deck that this has synergy with doesn't even run this. So I'm gonna go with garbage. Next, we got Twisted Frostwing. Summon a Chimera with stats equal to its cost. So, you know, ideally you buff up its attack and then you make it 2. But I think then you can rush into something and have it. So it's I think I heard VS might have compared it to a Flanking Strike. The Flanking Strike, it was 6 years ago. This is Hearthstone in 2023. That is not good enough. And this can't go through taunts. I'm gonna go with garbage. Just all the stats, just not efficient enough in the Hearthstone, the word it is. Next, we got Celestial Shot. Deal 3 damage. Your next spell has +2 spell damage. So not only the damage is not terribly inefficient, but the next +2 spell damage is super good. So you can play this on 3, play your 4/4s on 3 in Arcane Hunter. It's a good thing they nerfed Arcane Hunter with this card because this card is broken. We're going to go with broken. Arcane Hunter back on the map, baby, if you're a fan of that deck. Let's go with Mage. So Mage, first we've got Void Scriptures. Discover a spell. If you have enough mana to play it, cast a copy of it at a random enemy. So that, you know, kind of, you play it and you can, you know, get something like a flame geyser, but you know, so this is a thing of like, it's awkward to do because, you know, you want it, you can't play this on two. It's also a lot of mana to discover a card, but that being said, you can't get another one. I don't feel like this is actually going to see play. So just my instinct, you know, it's harder to make this card, you know, when you get a fireball and they have no minions on board and you do 6 face and you do another fireball, that's really good, but that's not going to happen. So I'm going to go with garbage on this. So next we got, if you cast 5 or more spells this game, draw 2 cards. I mean, this is the hard part is like, well, what happens when you're at 4 spells and you have this card in your hand and you can't draw the next card and it's awkward and you need to play and you have to play it, then you don't have enough card draw. This kind of card, I just don't think quite makes the cut. I'm going to go with the garbage. So next we got, if you played an elemental this turn, deal 5 to 7 damage, randomly split amongst all minions. This card is pretty decent. Elementals suck, but this card's okay, so I'm gonna go with decent, but it's still not like broken. You know, compare this card to what is more scary, this card or something like Norganon, which is 1 mana more that doesn't require any elemental synergy, that barely sees play. So I'm almost like, actually I changed my mind. We're going with garbage. The more I compare it to Norganon, the more I realize this card will never see play. So let's go next. Paladin. Paladin, first we got Muscletron. Forge, Battlecry, give all my hands +1/+1. Forge, give +2/+ instead. This is very similar to Alliance Bannerman, but it doesn't draw a card, which is a big deal. It does have 2 more health. It can get forged to +2/+2. But that being said, if I just think, you know, maybe this sees play in the bronze mech paladin builds. But you know, if you're forging on 1 and playing this on 3, you know, then you do all these stats, and then your opponent just silences your board and kills you, or something ridiculous. These kind of things seem really nice, but then they're just not, like these kind of hand busting. So I'm going with garbage. I think this is no competitive play. Next we got Alarm Security Bot. Draw another attack, set its attack to health to 5 cost. So this is kind of, you can play this on 4, get it killed, and then draw a big minion. This is sort of an enabler for big paladin. Big decks usually suck, but I can't say this card is quite bad. You know, using this to get a nice play for the next turn with a bunch of big cards this seems like a really nice card for that deck. So I'm gonna go with decent. Keeper's Strength. Give it friendly +2/+2. Deal its attack damage to all other minions. So this reminds me of Shadow Flame, which did see play, but Shadow Flame costs to kill the minion, which is worse, usually, not always. It also didn't give the minion +2/+2. So this is better in multiple ways than Shadow Flame, which did see play. You can run this in your Tempo Paladin deck and use this as a board clear with a bot with stats. Seems insane. I'm gonna go with broken. Next we've got Priest. Your healing effects. So first we got Battlecry. Your next healing effect deals the damage instead. So you know, you could use this to this, but it's only 1 healing effect. There aren't really good ways to heal for ridiculous amounts. But that being said, you could do this something with like a Blackwater Behemoth to deal a lot of face damage. So you know, but is this going to make the cut in Control Priest? Is this going to make the cut in Shadow Priest? I'm not quite a believer, but you know, it is a 1/3. It does have potential synergies. What you figure out, what you do with it is up to you. But I think this card is a card that, you know, is something that will probably see play in some deck eventually. You know, but when, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna go with decent. Next we've got Twilight Torrent. Choose a character. If it's friendly, restore 6 health. If it's an enemy, deal 3 damage. I think the only reason I like this card is I could see in theory like this card enabling some sort of control Shadow Priest, where you can use this to heal, where Shadow normally doesn't have good heal. But you also can use it for damage. It's not a holy spell, so seems like a reasonable card for Shadow Priest to run. So I think I'm gonna go with decent, but actually, more I think about it, I just think it's too inefficient. I think I'm gonna go with garbage, but I could see some fringe fancy deck running it. So we're going garbage. Next we got, after a friendly undead dies, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero and get a random Shadow Pre-spell. So when you've got these wide, awkward boards that you use the 0 mana spell that gives your undead minions Reborn, and you place this and you slap this down, and you trade your stuff in, and you can control the board, deal 8 damage to the hero, potentially something ridiculous, and you can also get like 4 undead, so it can be a big refill, so giving your undead priest a lot more late game sort of push. So I think this card's really, really broken in Undead Priest, so I'm gonna go with broken. Maybe this compets Undead Priest to right now where I consider a get to legend deck to maybe a high tier competitive deck. All right, next we got assembly line. Discover a mech from another class, or mech rogue needs to be efficient. It needs to get stuff and go for the F win as fast as possible. Spending 1 mana to discover a mech from another class is a value play. This card just doesn't work, and I don't really want to run it in a value rogue list, so I'm going with garbage. Next, we got Tentacle Grip. So these are some of these tentacle cards that run this Chaotic Tendril. They kind of keep getting better and better. So it's deal 3 damage, get a plus combo, get a +1/+1 tendril. You know, I don't think this is that great, but I think, you know, you got some decent efficiency. You can go face, you can control minion. With the combo, you get a little bit of value. If Rogue can naturally build around this Chaotic Tendril stuff, maybe it sees play. But I think it's not anything busted, but it looks decent. So I'm going to go with decent overall. Next, we've got Tiny Worldbreaker. If you control another mech, deal 4 damage. This is kind of just not how I feel mech rogue really wants to work. It doesn't want to have these deal damagers. It kind of wants to play things and just kind of make giant stuff, stealth, and do these crazy praise and hit Wind Fury. I feel like this card, you know, maybe could have worked at, you know, 3 damage, but even having the stats isn't great. Having another mech on board is awkward sometimes. It's just not quite what you want to do with Mech Rogue. I don't see this play in Mech Rogue, so I'm going with it garbage. Next, we've got Shaman. We got Battlecry, get a random Overload card. These kind of cards I've seen play in the past. I can see it seeing play. If Overload cards are good enough, you run this just to be sort of a stat filler where you get to play something on 1 and get a Overload card. So I think it's going with decent. Next, we've got Conductivity. The next spell you play this turn also targets adjacent minions. You know, this just I really want to play this so I can, you know, do some weird. I don't even know. Like, I know Zentimo is a wild card, but it just seems really, really bad because I don't get to do it multiple times. I don't have the continuing threat. I have to spend this the first time. I'm going with garbage. Oh, here we go. We've got Infested Watcher, Death Rattle, get Taunt, get 2 Chaotic Tendrils. I don't think this is actually, this could go in some Value Shaman deck, but Value Shaman decks suck. We're going with garbage. Next, we've got Warlock. We've got some garbage cards. Minions cost health instead of mana next turn. They keep printing this card. It always sucks. This is garbage. Next, we've got Encroaching Insanity. Both players take 3 fatigue damage twice. This card should cost 1 mana, and it's still bad. Would still be bad, but at 3 mana is terrible. Like, if I want to do 3 mana, like I can, you know, use it to do 3 damage to the face, and you know, if I have the weapon and blah 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 blah, it sounds way too hard and way too convoluted. I'm going with garbage. Next turn, then you turn, get a 1/1 Chaotic Tendril, so you can get more of these really, really powerful cards. They're not. I'm not convinced they're that powerful until you get a bunch of them. So I'm gonna go with garbage. So Warlock, not doing so great. Not looking very good. Yeah. So you know, Warlock will probably stay the same unless except for running neutrals and sort of the anomaly effect. But I think the actual Warlock class card is not very good. So first we got Battle-Worn Faceless. Transform into a copy of a damaged minion. This reminds me of Bloodsworn Mercenary, which was 3/3, but you got the body. But Bloodsworn Mercenary was broken. It got nerfed to a 2/2. This is 1 mana less. So I think this card could be quite good. I'm not exactly sure. It is a little less efficient than Bloodsworn Mercenary, and there has been, you know, 3 years of power creep. But I'm going to go with decent overall. I'm excited to see if this card could be really strong potentially with the right build. Next, we've got Sanitize. Deal attack equal to your armor to all minions. Forge. Gain armor first. This is Reckless Flurry, but you don't lose your armor. This is insane. This is so good. This is better than Shield Shatter, probably. You can deal 20 damage to the board. You can clear a ridiculous board, and it adds forged energies for your Ignis Control Warrior, so you don't have to run the 4 mana card that we were running in the 40 card list. So this card seems absolutely insane and is a game changer for Warrior. Maybe Warrior Cuts Brawl runs this card. Way better control tools now, so I'm gonna go with Broken. Next, we got General Vex, Battlecry, gain 4 armor, Death Rattle, lose 4 armor. Some of this card in theory looks really cool, but you just end up using too much armor. The problem is the deck that wants to use this, this would be really, really good in certain matchups. So if you're in like a Warrior Mirror, anything where like awkward stats over and over again is good, this card's going to be insane. But so many other matchups, it's like, okay, you play this against Outcast Demon Hunter, you kill one of their minions, you can't even kill it off, and then they just kill you. This card's going to be really, really awkward in a lot of matchups. What are you going to use this against Naga Mage? No. So I think I'm going to go with garbage overall, even though maybe it could be a tech card for certain matchups in a tournament situation. But the competitive version doesn't really exist anymore, so I doubt that's going to happen. Finally, we got neutrals. So we've got Chaotic Tendril, Battlecry, cast a random 1-cost spell, improved by your future tendrils. I think this card is just kind of... I'm really not sure on this card. I'm going to go with decent because I think they would test it, but this card's going to suck at first. But, if you get a random 8-mana card, that could be quite good, but then sometimes 8-mana card, this doesn't auto-attack the face, your opponent's minions like some other cards. So, but, if you just play 6 of these on the same turn, which you can with the hero card, it'd be quite good. So... Prison Breaker, if you cast 5 or more spells this game, deal 3 damage to all minions. This card would be really bad in most decks, but as it's a neutral and neutral board, nice, especially for classes like Druid. Go with decent. I could say it just doesn't have good this, which makes a big difference. So you can use it in a temp spells. You don't doesn't need to be a. Next we got IFK to Kendrill. Bad. I'm gonna go with garbage. Maybe if you have a deck that's completely built on tendrils, you run this, but even at 5, so inefficient. So I'm gonna go with garbage. And finally, we've got around. It's another Titan. Last the every Titan that we reviewed got no exception. A lot less because you play a bunch of spells. You can play this for very, very cheap in the late game, and it's so you can get a giant hand, and then its Titan abilities you can get a giant hand of tentacles. You can do a mass hysteria, but only on your opponent's board, so your board is just fine. Or you can mind control an enemy. So these are all really, really powerful effects, and especially in a value matchup, which is I think what the Hearthstone is going to be very much with this expansion. The chaos should cause that. So overall, a lot of strong cards, a lot of mech cards, but that's a mini set for you. So I think the anomalies effect is going to be really, really crazy. So I'll see you guys on the ladder tomorrow.